All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special summer edition of Leaders in Lunch. My name is Eddie Forrest, and I'm this year's chair of the Leadership Winston-Salem Alumni Council. The Alumni Council is very excited about the events we are planning for the upcoming year and are energized about the purpose to pursue deeper relationships with each other, retain community involvement, and foster lifelong learning in keeping with our mission of educating, connecting, and energizing leaders to serve and improve the community. Be on the lookout for future Leaders in Lunch webinars, and we are excited about bringing in-person community conversations back this year, with the first event being this fall. Today, we have the pleasure to have Mr. Jackie Alexander join us to discuss the National Black Theater Festival and its impact on Winston-Salem. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Catherine Perry, for introductions.
Thank you, Eddie. I'd like to welcome everybody who has joined us for our webinar today. Before I introduce Jackie, just a little bit of housekeeping. Any questions that you all have that you want to pose to Jackie, I would encourage you to put them in the Q&A feature, not the chat feature. We'll be monitoring that. And Karen Bell Chandler will be posing those questions to Jackie as we move throughout our time together. So now on to the main event. Jackie Alexander is an award-winning actor, writer, producer, director, former artistic director of the Billie Holiday Theater in New York, and current producing artistic director of the North Carolina Black Repertory Company, producers of the National Black Theater Festival. His work has been produced off-Broadway and regionally throughout the country. The Obie and Aldelco award-winning Billie Holiday Theater in New York devoted its entire 2010-2011 season to Jackie's work, commissioning him to write 3 new plays and making him the only playwright in storied history of the theater to receive that honor. The Black Theater Network honored Jackie with its 2018 Presidential Pathfinder Award for illuminating a path to innovations and new concepts in Black theater. In February of 2019, Jackie was honored by North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper for his theatrical contributions to the state. Jackie was recently honored in November of 2021 at the 49th Annual Adelco Awards in New York City for outstanding achievement in Black theater. I would like to welcome Jackie to our webinar today and turn it over to Karen Bell Chandler. Karen?
Hello, everybody. Glad to see you. And Mr. Alexander, thank you so much for carving time out to come and talk with us. I know it's a very busy time for you. I'm going to start out with some questions that we received ahead of time. And those of you who are listening, please add some other questions in the Q&A, and we will try to get as many of those answered as possible. So we'll start out with something maybe easy, maybe not so easy, but what are 3 events you would highly encourage first-time goers to attend the National Black Theater Festival?
You know, we've got a lot. There are so many events at the festival. I often joke, like I've been here 6 years and I still don't know all of the events. So I'm going to focus on some new programming that we're doing this year. And before I start, following up on Eddie, to any Panthers fans out there, I apologize for the Saints hat. It's on my head all the time, so I apologize. I forgot about this today. But we've got a lot of new programming this year, and it actually is going to start this Saturday at 7 o'clock in Bailey Park. We're doing our Shakespeare at Sunset reading, which is we normally do during the festival, but this year we're doing it as a precursor to the festival. And we created a new program as an outreach program for the Hispanic community in Winston-Salem. And we're going to be doing a bilingual reading of Romeo and Juliet by Mateus de la Flor, a recent School of the Arts graduate. We're going to have a food truck out, musicians, and Mateus has wrote this beautiful adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. So come out and check that out, 7 o'clock on Saturday. That'll be the first official NBTF event. Once the festival kicks off on August 1st, you don't want to miss the Black Theater Royalty exhibit at the Milton Rhodes Gallery. We're actually going to be unveiling, excuse me, a newly commissioned portrait of Larry Leon Hamlin and Sylvia Sprinkle Hamlin, the king and queen of NC Black Rep. So you'll want to check that out. It has all the theater greats. Hattie Lou Theater from Memphis, Tennessee is bringing that exhibit in. It'll be available. It'll be open the entire week of the festival. It'll actually be open the entire month of August. So you definitely want to check that out. We're also doing a new program called Out on Holy Ground, which is a celebration of the LGBTQ plus community. That's going to be at Camel City Playhouse on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. These are all free events, and they're going to be workshops, play readings, and movie screenings in the evening. So that's something we wanted to check out. And it's been a very rough 3 years. So we're actually doing a mental health workshop called The Therapeutic Power of Theater. And that's going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the Hearn A Ballroom in the Marriott. Some really interesting subject matter. Stephen Hill from Magnum PI is going to be the celebrity guest on Tuesday in the Tuesday session. Takio Krista Kama from That's So Raven and Living Color and a ton of other stuff will be the celebrity guest on Wednesday. So you'll want to check that out. But again, there are so many events. I urge you to go to the website, nbtf.org, look at the brochure, scroll through. There'll be something there for you. No matter the age, no matter the taste, there will be something on that schedule that will catch your attention.
Well, and I do want to point out that Jared is putting the link to the Black Rep I think there's actually a link for NC Black Rep and also one for the Black Theater Festival. So he can get that other link on there, and that'll be in the chat room. I want to get back to the shows, but before we do that, I would like to maybe pose the question of what you think, how you think the National Black Theater Festival has affected Winston-Salem culturally, financially, artistically, over the many years that it's been here.
Before I start, I just want to clear up, because sometimes it gets confused. NC Black Rep, North Carolina Black Repertory Company, produces the National Black Theater Festival. So they are one and the same. Those two websites take you to the same place. Believe it or not, sometimes people think it's a separate entity, but there is no National Black Theater Festival without the North Carolina Black Repertory Company. As for what it's done for Winston-Salem, I think it's, economically, it's generated over $235 million since its inception. But I think the biggest thing, as an actor in New York in the mid-90s, I had never heard of Winston-Salem. Not a knock, I just didn't know where it was, and then when I heard it, I connected it to the tobacco industry. But everyone kept telling me, you have to go to Winston-Salem the first week in August every other year for this festival. You have to go to Winston-Salem. All roads lead to Winston-Salem. Winston-Salem is Black Theater Holy Ground. And when I got here, I met people not just from across the country, from across the world, who make this pilgrimage every other year. Now, for years, as you all probably know, it was odd numbered years, but due to COVID, we've switched to even numbered years, and we're going to stay on that from now on. But I think I know in the Black theater world and the theater community at large, it put Winston-Salem on the map. I remember hearing Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, Dr. Maya Angelou, all these people were going to this festival in Winston-Salem. And again, I was like, where is Winston-Salem, and how on earth did they get all these people to go to Winston-Salem? And that's all due to Larry Leon Hamlin, our founder, who was just a larger than life personality. And of course, he got a huge assist from Dr. Maya Angelou. The first festival in 1989 had James Earl Jones and Lou Gossett Jr. and Cicely Tyson and Oprah Winfrey. So when you have those type of names attend your first event, you get noticed. And that spotlight shines not just on the festival, but the city itself. And the city, I'm always amazed by the support. In 2019, we had over 1,300 volunteers at the festival. Everyone I meet, regardless of race, when I'm in Winston-Salem, talks about the festival with this infectious pride. And I think everybody kind of takes ownership of it because it really does show the best and brightest of the city. The pride they show in it, the way people come, and trust me, everyone talks about how much they love Winston-Salem when they leave. not just the festival, but how friendly the people are, how good the food is, how helpful everyone is. Sometimes they say it's a little hot, but depending on the year. But it really just, the City of Arts and Innovation, I think the National Black Theater Festival is the crowning jewel of that title.
Yeah. I remember when it first started, and yes, I was here when it first started. So it has progressed. And give us an idea, Jackie, of how many venues are used throughout the city. I'm volunteering for the first time this year myself, and all the different venues, I was just blown away by how much it covers the entire city. So
it's the size and scope of it is incredible. I mean, for those of you who don't know, we produce about 30 main stage productions over 5 days. And that, a full set goes up. So basically a show will come in, our cast will come in on Monday, their set will be up in a space. They'll rehearse that evening. They'll perform the next day at 2 and 8. Then on the Wednesday at 2 and 8, overnight, that set will come down. A new set will go up. A new cast will come in Thursday and rehearse during the day, and that show will go up Thursday night. This year, we're doing that at 22 different venues. Now, those are just the productions. In addition to the productions, we've got Aperture, we've got Camel City Playhouse. So I would say maybe 30 venues we use, because there are so many different components. And we're at the Central Library. We're really sometimes I see this, will ask me about an event, and I'm like, will we do that? Because it's just too much to keep track of. But we throw some lights up and plug in some sound. We probably use the location in the city.
So you're from
This year,
Wake Forest to
Wake Forest, all the schools, Wake Forest School of the Arts, the Milton Rhodes Center,
School of the Arts.
Yeah, and if we can plug in sound, put up a set, and turn on some light, we will use the space. This year we're in Bailey Park. In 2019, we were in the Winston Square Park amphitheater out here. We did Shakespeare at Sunset. So we move around, and again, all of the venues are so welcoming. Everybody's always excited about it. Summit School, we always perform over at Summit School. We really try to get something up everywhere.
I did want to point that out, because I think there are some people that think, I'm not sure I want to go downtown, parking and that sort of thing. So it's all over the city. So go to the link and find some live theater.
We really try to get it all over the city, and our screening committee really tries to select shows, musicals, comedies, dramas, historical plays. So depending on what mood you're in, what you enjoy, we want to make sure every day there's a show that will interest you. Same thing with the workshops that I mentioned, and film screenings. We try to get a little taste of everything. So we make sure everybody has something to do. I tell people there's something to do from 9 in the morning until about 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'm not joking, you'll leave a show. I actually couldn't get into a reading in 2019 that started at midnight. I left the show, I went to the Marriott, and I tried to get into the show, and it was standing room only, and it was 12 a.m. And that's not unusual. It really is. I've never experienced any festival, anything like this. And I think Winston-Salem is the perfect place because it's so walkable downtown. The celebrities feel comfortable walking around. They're in such great spirits. They stop and talk to everybody. I don't know. There's something special about the energy in the city. We have a trailer. We're doing a documentary on the festival. COVID has kind of delayed it. We shot the entire 2019 festival. With the passing of Miss Hamlin, we're going to be shooting some additional footage this year to complete the film. But in one of the trailers, Hal Williams, longtime actor, Sanford and Son, 227, all kind of shows. He commented, that when he's in LA, people always say, oh, we should do something like the festival out here. We should create our own festival. Everyone's here. Why don't we do it in LA? And he comments in the trailer that it would never work. It would never work in LA. It would never work in New York. Because I think, and I lived in New York and I lived in LA, but they're very me cities, me, for lack of a better word. And I think Winston-Salem is very much about us when it comes to the festival. There's no one trying to score or get ahead. It really is about putting the city's best foot forward. And that I think that's part of the energy. It's never about look at me. It's about what do we do to make the city shine? And I think that just rings true and people feel that when they're in the city for that week. And I think that's the love. And, you go out in 2019, I was at a restaurant and there was a group behind me and they found out I worked for the festival and it was a family reunion. And I've probably shared this story with you before, but people plan their family reunions every other day to come to the festival. An international reunion and celebration of spirit is kind of our tagline, and that's what it is. People just come back and there are no strangers. Getting down the block, downtown isn't a big area, but it can take an hour to get a couple of blocks because you're going to stop and have a 10-minute conversation every 30 feet. Somebody's going to stop you who hasn't seen you and want to talk about what they saw or how's it been. So it's a very unique experience. One you can't really, we're doing a film to try to give people a feel of what it's like, but until you're in it, words really don't do it justice.
Well, I know since 1989, downtown has really grown up with a lot of different hotels, a lot of different restaurants, and I can't help but think that the festival had a considerable amount to do with that.
I have a funny story about that. My first festival was 2005. Again, I didn't know much about Winston-Salem, and it was in, the streets are packed. It's lined in purple and black, and the restaurants are crowded. So that's all I knew of Winston-Salem. I came to every festival from 2005 through 2015. I think I missed one. And that was my experience every single time I came to Winston-Salem. There's always something to do. The streets are always crowded. So when I took the job as artistic director of NC Black Rep in 2016, I moved here in August. And it was a Saturday. And I was like, oh, I'll go downtown. I'm sure there's something going on, from my experience in Winston-Salem. And I got downtown and there was not a soul on the street. I was like, whoa, what's going on? But it's really grown in the past 5 years. I think that's changing. And I do think the festival has a lot to do with that. But I'll never forget, there was no one there. But the festival, when the festival's in town, it's the hottest city in the country.
Agreed. We have a couple of questions in our Q&A. One was a question I was going to ask anyway. One of our folks said 1,300 volunteers. That's amazing. How can people volunteer if they want to help out? Seems like I remember there being a substantial need for drivers. We
do need drivers, and we definitely need drivers this year. You can go to nbtf.org. If you click on the NBTF tab, there's a volunteer link on that menu. Click, it's a volunteer application. I'm not sure where they are in the process. I know we've got quite a bit of volunteers at this point, but that's where you would start filling out that application. And in that application, it'll ask what you would like to do, what area you would like to work in.
I do know that they're having a volunteer training this evening at the Central Library. And I think it may be the last training for that. That's at 6 o'clock. I believe.
I actually don't know. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but yeah, that would, filling out that application would be the start.
Right. You'd get that information. And we have another question. Are there any tickets left for the opening gala?
There are not. It's possible something might open up on the wait list, but I'm pretty sure it will not at this point. They went really quickly. The gala really is kind of a fundraiser for the company. And so our sponsors eat up a lot of the seats, and then it's just a really hot ticket. I think we had them on sale for a couple of hours and boom, they were gone. We did lose some seats this year. Many of you probably know the Stevens Center is going to be being renovated, and right now the balcony is unavailable. So that's about 500 seats that we won't have this year. So, along with, this is a very challenging festival for many, many reasons.
Well, coming back from COVID, jeepers.
Coming back from COVID is, I don't even know where to start. I mean, the biggest thing is how nerve-wracking it is, checking the news, checking the levels every week. You don't know. I mean, normally we know this many people are coming to the festival, but understandably, you don't know how people are going to react. We really won't know until August 6th how this festival is going to do. The numbers look good, but I know there are a lot of people who are watching the numbers just like we are, and deciding what's best for them and looking at the rules and regulations and where things are. So it was a risky decision to go forward, but I think this isn't an anomaly anymore. This is the world. So we felt it was just time to put it back out there. But it is, there are a lot of challenges associated with producing with COVID around.
Are masks going to be encouraged for attendees?
Yes, masks will be encouraged. They will not be required. We will not be testing at the doors. We're basically following the city guidelines, and we will continue to do that all the way through the festival. If anything should change, we will be emailing ticket goers. What we're really hoping is, last year, we did an outdoor event called Holy Ground Revival. And it was just a week-long series of concerts and movie screenings. And the kids did a little performance outdoor, which they'll do again this year on Friday and Saturday, called the Golden Tales of Hip Hop. It's pretty funny, a good time. But we will follow city regulations and guidelines and update our ticket buyers as we get closer. We're hoping, everything really dropped around the first week of August, the month of August last year. And we're hoping, not only for August, we hope we're going in the right direction for good, but we're hoping that pattern of August being a good month stays true.
Oh, fingers crossed. Someone responded, David Paris responded, there are different orientations for different volunteer opportunities. For whatever tonight's orientation is, it's for a specific task, and I believe that it is for ushers this evening. So as Jackie said, go to the website and fill out that form, particularly if you are available to drive. I think that was one thing that they had a great need for. So
and thank you, David. I saw where David has a ton of tickets. We need everybody to come out like David will be coming out. I think David's seen like 8 shows, so he's attempting to see everything.
Wow, good luck on that. There's so many things, shows and other kinds of presentations. It's just, it's going to be, the city's going to be hopping. How many people, speaking about all these different opportunities, how many people normally, and I know this isn't a normal year, but normally attend over this 5-6 day festival?
From the reports we get, it's upwards of about 60,000 people in a really hot year, closer to 65. those numbers are hard to really gauge, but that's the numbers we normally get from Visit Winston-Salem based on ticket sales and hotel occupancy and all that stuff. And so far, it's going pretty well. The numbers with the hotels. So again, it's just that fear that everything stays, the world is so crazy these days. Sometimes I'm afraid to turn on the news in the morning, not just because of the festival, but just afraid to turn on the news.
Right. Let's see. David Paris then responded again. He said he's taken the week off work, volunteering for 2 days and seeing 10 shows in 5 days.
10 shows. That's how you do it. That's a festival goer.
Wow. Well, I was interested in the productions. There's some of the people that are being featured in the productions, some historical figures are just amazing. Frederick Douglass, Eartha Kitt, Ma Rainey, Jackie Wilson, who I personally met one time, Aretha Franklin, Sojourner Truth, Zora Neale Hurston. Wow. Those are amazing.
We were really lucky, and I was really excited when I saw the submissions. First, we thought submissions would be low because we were thinking that people haven't been producing. I don't know if you know, but the shows we bring have been previously produced. So we opened submissions in December the year before. So when we opened submissions in December 2021, we expected a low turnout with submissions. We were just like, people haven't been producing. But we got over 100 submissions. And on top of that, there were some really, really quality shows. So that was a really pleasant surprise. And we've got some really special shows. You mentioned Jackie Wilson, Chester Gregory. There's an interesting story behind him playing that role. Chester's first show at the festival was with the Black Ensemble out of Chicago. And he was in a show where he played Jackie Wilson, and he killed it. I mean, I think he was born to play the role, and Larry Leon Hamlin was alive at that time and told him, like, this show is going to make you a star. And the right people were at the festival. And sure enough, Chester has been on Broadway ever since. He's a recording artist. He's done a ton of Broadway shows, and it all started at the festival with that performance. And he's been doing that role, and it must be like close to 20 years at this point. He's been doing that role, and this will be his final performance as Jackie Wilson. When we called him and asked him to do the show, because we were looking for a headliner, so we actually called Chester to do the show. He was our celebrity co-chair in 2019. I talked to him, and he was like, "Okay, Jackie, but this is the last time I'm doing this. I'm getting up in age. Those splits don't come as easily anymore." So he actually said he was, he had to train for it. And it makes sense because it's a physically very demanding show. But he's just an amazing performer. So you don't want to miss that. NC Black Rep has 2 shows. Freedom Summer, which we did as a virtual world premiere in 2021. I'm so happy for the playwright of Freedom Summer. We were supposed to premiere her play in March of 2020. The set was built, costumes were ready, the actors were going into Tech Week, and that is the week 5 days before we were supposed to open, the show closed. And, for a playwright to have a world premiere, it's a big deal. And she's waited 2 full years, 2.5 years at this point to get a live performance. We did do a virtual premiere in February of 2021, which went really well. The actors are amazing, but to have it live, that's what she's been waiting on. So she'll be here, and she'll finally get her live world premiere at the festival. And also Succession, which is a first, because this is a show that is receiving its world premiere, period. This is the first time the show will be done, and the festival has never produced a world premiere. So we're really excited about that. And the best thing about that is this show pulls the curtain back on Black theater. So what better show to have its world premiere at the National Black Theater Festival than Succession by Charles White. So we're really excited about that. And then, as you mentioned, there are so many amazing shows this year. And again, I feel like if I start naming them, I'm going to be cheating someone. So go to the site. I had to mention NC Black Rep shows, but go to the site, read the synopsis, scroll through the schedule. You really can't go wrong. You're going to find something you want to see.
That's so exciting to hear about all of the shows that you're doing. Okay, about you, what do you prefer, being a performer or being a producer more?
Neither. I prefer being a writer. And I'll tell you why. I started as an actor, American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I worked as an actor in film and TV for a couple of years, kind of transitioned into theater and transitioned into writing. And as a producer, as a director, you're depending on so many people, not in theater and definitely in film. And when I started writing, I realized all I needed was my laptop. You know, I can sit, write, and when I'm done, I hand it off to the producer or the director, and I'm done with it. And that was, and I think it comes from producing so much. It was nice to have complete control and not have to wait on a return call from anybody and not have to wait on designs showing up from anybody and signing contracts. It's just me and my computer. So I think I enjoy writing. I did a film that debuted in 2001. It won a couple of awards, and an agent saw it and called me in, a literary agent, Diane Gettyman. She loved the film, and she was like, "Oh, would you like to write a novel?" I know it's weird. I've had these incredibly lucky breaks. I should say Diane Gettyman was also the lady who acquired Sidney Poitier's Measure of a Man. So I knew who she was when she called me. I didn't know why she was calling me. And she worked with me for about, I would say at least 10 years to write that book and get it published. And not many people bought it. It's still available on Amazon.com if you want to get it, but not many people bought it. But it was probably the most fulfilling artistic project I've ever worked on.
And that's called Joy?
Actually, no. The book is called Our Daily Bread. She asked me to do a novelization of the film, and I wrote 100 pages, and I brought it to her, and she read it, and she was like, "This is no good." She threw it away, and she said, "Start over with a new idea." So after 6 months, I started from scratch again, and she was right. So that's how the book transitioned from Joy, which was the film title, to Our Daily Bread, which became the novel. And that was, I just loved sitting at my computer. Now, the bad thing is, since I've become an administrator in theater, I haven't written anything since 2012. That commission, when the Billie Holiday commissioned me to write those 3 shows, I wrote 3 plays over about 2 years. They all premiered in 1 season. And I haven't written anything since because I became an artistic director, and it leaves you no time to write. Between producing and directing, if there are any writers on the line, I'm sure they know you just need time. You just need time at the computer, or you write on, with a pen and a pad, however you do it. And I just haven't had that. So I do miss that. I miss that quite a bit. And hopefully one day we'll carve out some time to get back to that.
Our Jared has put in our chat room the link to Amazon to get your book. So maybe sales will maybe sales will go up. I think I'm going to have to take a look at that. I had a question about Chuck Spong. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Got to see the virtual presentation of Freedom Summer. It's an amazing play with incredibly nuanced approach to issues as we face as a community. Art at its best. Wow. Pretty good review there. What is that play about?
It actually deals with the Mississippi Voting Rights Project of 1964. It's two sisters, one who's passing as white and one who's preparing to go become a freedom rider. And it's set on the day the bodies of the three civil rights workers are found. So it's a really interesting premise. It's just these two sisters in an apartment having a conversation and how their lives, the different lives they're leading, because one is very light skinned and she has moved to Boston and she's living as a white person, and the privilege and opportunity she has versus her sister, and kind of the sacrifices the younger sister is willing to make to further the cause of her people. It's Cynthia Robinson we did a reading of that play as part of our living room theater series, I think back in like 2018. Did it out at Winston-Salem State. And we had a talk back after, and everyone was so passionate about the story. And I think it's because you're not listening to issues, you're watching two sisters who love each other, just talk to each other, and you get to know the people. I think sometimes everything's so political stuff. I can't say the word, but everything is so
politicized. Yeah.
I did it to you. You can't say it either. But I think that's the beautiful thing about theater. It removes that I told you so and allows you to just sit in and watch and listen and get to know people you may not know. You get to listen to their stories without judgment or without somebody pointing at you saying, what do you think? I need to know your opinion. Do you agree with me? You just get to sit and listen and really experience what they're going through. And I think that helps bridge a lot of gaps when you get to know people, get to know the stories behind why people do things, why people are the way they are, why people take certain actions. So this play really is, people are really moved by it. Got some amazing, Nikayla Boxley, who plays the younger sister, is a graduate of School of the Arts, and she just knocks it out of the park. And we actually had to replace the second actress. So we've got Sierra Cochran, who's a Stanford student, who's coming in to fill the other role. Mariah Gilmet did it originally, but she was unavailable for the festival. So two young, really talented actors. It's really an actor's piece. If you like good acting, you should definitely go see this one. And we're also doing, on Saturday at 2 p.m., we're going to have a American Sign Language interpreter working the show. So that's going to be a special performance. We're also going to have that at the two performances of Golden Tales of Hip Hop. Last year, we had planned on bringing, to serve the deaf community, we were planning on bringing, there's a company in Baltimore that is formed, they were doing a production of A Raisin in the Sun, and all the actors were deaf, and we're going to bring that show. Unfortunately, they weren't available for the festival this year, so we're bringing in the ASL interpreters for those performances. Again, just trying to branch out and serve all of the community, all of the Winston-Salem community, make sure everybody can enjoy the festival and be a part of the festival family.
Mm-hmm. That sounds, you're really trying to be very inclusive. You were talking about a program you're doing with youth. I've done some theater in the past, and I know that theater is a way for people to find their group, their people. And I think that live theater is so important, and that every child should be exposed to it. And at some point, what are your thoughts on that? And how valuable that can be to making somebody feel included?
I think it can change lives. And actually, after the festival, we're going to be launching a new program to recruit more students to the arts, hopefully working with them to. When I moved here in 2016, my first teen theater ensemble, which is our training program for young people, actors 13 to 19 years old, there was a kid named Nick Brown. It was his final year in the program. Nick has since gone on to graduate from School of the Arts. He's going to be my assistant director at the festival on Freedom Summer. He's headed to New York, and the confidence who he was when I met him and who he is now when he walks in a room, it's amazing. Just the confidence when he walks in the room, he knows who he is, and there's this, and he's the world. It's opened so many doors for him. So, and really looking at him, I was like, man, we gotta pull, and boys especially, we have a hard time getting boys into arts programming. So we're gonna focus on them, but I think it can really give kids a voice, give them direction, help them discover who they are, build self-confidence. I think the arts does all of those things. So that's one of the focuses moving forward, is really building our teen program and finding, we actually want to target East Winston, kids who don't have all the opportunities, because the arts really can be a way out for them.
Right. And help them find like-minded people. And seeing different shows, as you were saying, you learn stories. You learn stories about struggles and things that I can't understand unless I see a story. So.
And it opens your eyes to a bigger world. It really, we all are guilty of being in our little pods and only knowing what we bump into every day. Theater doesn't allow that, whether it's reading it on the script or seeing it on the stage, the rehearsals, the conversations. It really helps you see the world. If you can't afford to travel the world, you can discover the world on a stage.
Oh, that's a great quote.
I don't know what I said. I can't repeat it. Write it down.
If you can't see the world, you can discover the world on stage. Something like that. I think that was it. What else? Tell us. There might be some people on the call that really don't know really the history. You talked about Larry Leon Hanlon, but he started that in '89. Was that when it started?
Actually, Larry Leon Hamlin was an actor. He was working in New York and LA, and his father became ill, and he came home to take care of his father. And this is 1978. Being an actor, there was really nothing here for him to do as a Black actor. So in 1979, he created the North Carolina Black Repertory Company. He actually started it with a program called Living Room Theater. He basically got actors together and went to people's homes and did theater in their homes. And that's how he raised money to start the company. So he did that for a couple of years. The company started thriving. They had a season. And in 1989, he was at a conference in Atlanta talking about the dire straits Black theater was in, Black theater companies around the country. And he thought it would be a good idea to bring these companies together where they could share resources and put on display the work they were doing, just to connect them. And in 1988, he approached Dr. Maya Angelou, who happened to be a professor at Wake Forest at the time, about creating this National Black Theater Festival that would unite Black theater companies from across the nation to help the genre survive. And again, I kind of commented earlier, it was a hit. And now, it's referred to as Black Theater Holy Ground, because every Black theater company, not just in the country anymore, internationally, we've had plays from South Africa, London, Canada. Everyone views Winston-Salem as this place where Black theater goes to recharge its batteries. And it's an incredible story, what he was able to accomplish. And that idea of keeping Black theater alive and recharging it, I'm really excited because we have some other new programs this year. One is the Sylvia Sprinkle Hamlin Rolling World Premiere Award, which we started in 2019. And the winning play was called Phenomenal Woman, based on the life of Dr. Maya Angelou. Again, who else should produce that show except NC Black Rep? Now, COVID has put that show on hold for about 3 years at this point, but we will be doing the world premiere in late February, early March 2023. But the exciting thing about that is the play has been picked up by Broadway producers David Rich of Astoria and Todd Harris of Branded Pictures, and they're preparing it, putting it in development for a Broadway run. But part of the agreement with the Sylvia Sprinkle Hamlin Rowland World Premiere Award is that this show will be developed in Black theaters. So it will leave NC Black Rep. It will go to the Ensemble Theater in Houston and then Hattie Lou Theater in Memphis, Tennessee, before moving on to bigger regional houses and on to Broadway. And I don't really remember that happening, a Broadway show being developed in multiple Black theaters like that. And this year, the winner of that award will receive 5 regional productions. As a playwright, I always, or I should say as a producer, when I see a great show, I'm always upset when it doesn't have a life after that first production. And that's why we started this award, to connect Black theaters, to have them work together, and also give life to these shows. 5 regional productions for a play can really change a playwright's profile. You know, they have a hit before it opens. It's playing in 5 regional theaters over 2 years. So we're really excited about that. And we also have the Mabel P. Robinson Emerging Artist Award. And this is the first year we're presenting that. Mabel P. Robinson was a former artistic director of NC Black Rep, Broadway performer, instructor at School of the Arts. And that program, we partnered with the Southeastern Theater Conference and the Black Theater Network. And again, we made the submission process. There was no fee. You didn't have to fly anywhere because, you know, I meet a lot of kids when I go to these conferences, go to colleges, and it's like, I would love to go. I can't afford to fly somewhere, stay in a hotel 5 days, pay to eat every day. I just don't have the money to do that. So this award will bring 6 college students. We've got 3 actors, 2 directors, and a designer, a lighting designer. And we're going to bring them to the festival for the full week. Then we're going to send them to the Southeastern Theater Conference for the whole conference and the Black Theater Network Conference. And we want to grow that every year to really fund that next generation, because that was the next goal of Mr. Hamlin, was to keep it alive. And to keep it alive, you've got to keep refilling the tank. And that's what we hope to do with these kids. And also, again, the opportunity to meet people who can. It's one thing to send a headshot in to an artistic director. It's another thing to walk up and shake their hand and say, hi, I'm coming to New York. I'd like to do this with you. And that's the opportunity they have with these conferences.
That's amazing. If anybody ever thinks that one person can't make a difference in the world, wow. Larry Leon was amazing. And that passion has just carried this into affecting thousands and thousands of people. 60,000 people attend every year. That's just, it's amazing.
I would be remiss because the festival, he started the festival, he created the festival, but the festival would not be here today without Sylvia Sprinkle Hamlin, because she stepped in. You want to talk about an incredible energy. She was the director of the public library system in Forsyth County, and she'd be there all day and she'd be here all evening. She wasn't a theater person, so how she picked up the reins in 2007 and ran with this festival to grow it to where it is today, I really don't know. I think she was in her 70s when I got here, and she would work all day, she'd work all night, and there was never-ending energy when it came to the festival. So she really sustained it, and it would not have survived without her.
Might have been a God thing, giving her that energy.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite show that you've ever worked on?
Favorite show that I've ever worked on? Oh, wow.
Or a favorite, let's say.
Brothers from the Bottom. And that's only because as a playwright, all of my shows are set in New Orleans. And the Saints show up in every show. There's a reference to the Saints in every single play. And that was the first play that I wrote and directed that we were able to bring back to New Orleans. We did it with Wendell Pierce, who's about to open on Broadway in Death of a Salesman. But in 2015, the 10-year anniversary of Katrina, we brought Brothers from the Bottom to New Orleans for a 3-week run. We sold out. I mean, we had Wendell, so that helped. And so that was really great because that was the first time. I have a lot of friends and family who had been to New York to see my shows, but this made it possible for everybody. And because so much of what I write is pulled from my life, from people I know, it was great to see people in the audience who saw themselves on stage or knew, like, I think he's talking about me right now. You know, that guy is me. So I really got a kick out of, because they did appreciate it on a whole nother level. I mean, good writing hopefully is and hopefully I'm a good writer is universal, but with the people who really know those stories, they appreciate it on a whole other level.
It's just really exciting to hear everything that's going on and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. I wrote something when I was promoting this. I was saying the city streets will have stars and soon to be stars and people with stars in their eyes as they're watching all of these productions and seeing the city just kind of blossom and come to life.
Yeah, and it really is the city is the star. It's the, because, you know, for a while it was about, oh, celebrities are coming. They don't, it's nice that they come, but they don't have to come. The people are coming regardless, you know? And that's great because and I think it makes them enjoy themselves more also, because it's not about star power. It's about community and just that energy. And I have to say, one of my favorite shows and one of my most challenging shows also just took place earlier this year. We did Ragtime with the Piedmont Opera, and that was incredibly challenging, but man, when I saw them on stage, you know, there's nothing, the work that goes into it, you never know what's going to turn out. But every once in a while, you sit in the audience and you're moved. And I really was moved every time I watched those guys perform. And again, it was that same thing. I don't know, something about Winston-Salem. The cast just had this incredible energy and positivity. And it just, I think the audience knew that and felt that, because it was a really important story and they told it so beautifully.
I saw it twice. I had to go back. It was phenomenal. And Priscilla Green says it was an outstanding production. Cheers. Now, what did you do? Did you direct that?
I directed Ragtime.
I am not worthy. That was amazing. Really, the direction was so clean. You know, with that many people.
What really, the lighting was amazing. The costumes were amazing. The music was amazing. It was just, there were so many, everybody played their part so well. The actors, and I mean, we had a really short rehearsal period. I mean, it was stressful and you didn't know where we were going for a while, but man, it just came together. And I think the show was being done for the right reason. Everybody came with the right attitude. And despite all the obstacles we faced, when the lights went up, I mean, magic just happened.
It did. It really did. I've seen a lot of Broadway shows and I felt like I was watching a Broadway show right here in Winston-Salem. It was phenomenal. Priscilla Green says actors, costumes, etc. need a repeat.
It's a big one.
Well, it seems like I don't have any other questions here. Is there anything that anyone else is interested in asking? Eddie,
You took my thunder there, Karen. I was about
sorry.
to announce no, you're fine. Any more questions for Jackie? We have about 6 more minutes of his time.
I think I've asked all my questions. I had a lot of questions.
I'm getting excited. I was sitting here booking tickets while I was listening.
Just to have this kind of opportunity right here in our city is just, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I went to the opening ceremony, and it was really my first ever taste of the National Black Theater Festival in 2019, and it was amazing. A recommendation is, if you can get in, go, and if you can figure out how to buy a ticket, if you don't get invited, go. It's awesome.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. I think we've made our point here, that the North Carolina Black Rep has really changed the face of Winston-Salem in a very positive way, and revenue and people attending, people now know where Winston-Salem is. So, Catherine, do you have any final words that you would like to say?
Well, actually, one more comment bubbled up, and I wanted to point that out. It said, please advise about the guild, etc. I've joined yearly. However, I feel everyone needs to know more about what they can do to support. So, Jackie, can you address that?
Yes, we have the Theater Guild, which is part of our fundraising program, and the Marftastic Society. There are levels you can join and support from $25 to $5,000. So again, we try to make sure that everybody can be a part of the family. If you just go to ncblackrep.org or nbtf.org and click under support, there's a page there that will give you all the benefits of joining, becoming a Theater Guild member. And somebody, man, you guys are quick. Thanks, Jared. He said it all. I can stop talking.
He is, he's quick.
Well, Jackie, we'd like to thank you for being with us this afternoon, for sharing everything that you did about yourself, your passions for the National Black Theater Festival, and for what our folks in our community can look forward to. I'd like to thank all of the folks from our Leadership Winston-Salem family for joining us today. This was a wonderful conversation to have to learn more about this crown jewel of our community. I would invite you to keep your eyes peeled for the next Leaders in Lunch that will be coming up in August. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yes.
Or perhaps September. Okay. So keep your eyes peeled on your email. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Now I can relax.